Good afternoon, scholars. Welcome to your Thursday, sixth grade Mr. Virtual Lit class. Got some great work to celebrate and some great effort to celebrate. And then we're going to do a brainstorming activity for a piece of writing that we have coming up. Taking a look at our turn-in rate, you guys, I challenged you yesterday to get above 70%, and you went ahead and knocked it up to 71. That's a 6% jump up from yesterday, which is very, very good. And it reflects on a couple new names on our grit list. Welcome, Noemi, Elizabeth, Alexandra, Edwin, and Jada to the grit list. Again, guys, this is scholars who got a 80% or better on that assignment. If your name is highlighted, it means you were not here yesterday. So welcome. If your name is not highlighted, it's because you're used to this. This is just what you do. You kind of live on the grit list. So great job. Let's take a look at some exemplars from yesterday. Whose answer is this? I think I stole Elizabeth's answer for this first one. Let me give you credit. The first question was, what decision did Foss make with Christopher's case? What was the result? Elizabeth really hit on all the important details in her response. She said, the decision Foss made in Christopher's case is accountable for his actions, but also putting him in a place where he wouldn't be bad for his record. And then Foss recovered 75% of the computers Chris sold to give them back to Best Buy and made a plan to repay every computer Chris stole. So then Chris went to college and graduated and became a manager of a large bank in Boston and made lots of money. Elizabeth's answer hit on something that a lot of other people's didn't, a common misconception. A lot of people made it sound as if Chris just got off scot-free and didn't get in any trouble. He did. He had to do community service. He had to write this long reflective letter. He had to repay the payment plans to repay the computers that he sold that they couldn't recover. So he got in trouble. But like Elizabeth said, he didn't have a felony. She said bad on his record. He didn't have a felony on his record. So he got in trouble, but he didn't get charged with a felony, which would have made college almost impossible and life just a lot harder. So he did get in trouble, but not with the felony, which enabled him to go on to be very successful. I believe the second answer I stole from Elvia. What personal experience helped shape Foss's beliefs about justice? Elvia said, Foss was caught selling drugs when he was a teenager. He knew that these kinds of choices that young people make shouldn't be held against them, that they just needed some talking. Yes, but it's not always talking, because when he got in trouble for selling drugs, he didn't just get a talking to. He also had to do, you know, he still got in trouble and he still had to do other things. It's just he didn't get hit with a felony, which kind of messes things up for forever. I stole the next two answers from Noemi and Reina. And Noemi, I'm really happy that you dove into this lesson, and I hope to see your best effort on all the assignments moving forward, because you are pretty brilliant. All right, number 3. Why does Foss believe people should more often get help instead of jail time when they commit crimes? Noemi said he believes that because he thinks it's a waste of money putting teens in jail and that they should get second chances. And instead of putting them in jail, they could come talk to them about the crime they committed, which will probably work a lot better. Reina said, Foss believes people should get help instead of being put in jail because we spend more money on jail and prisons instead of spending money on education, services, and things that can help people. Yeah, he made both of those points. He believes it's a lot. Why not invest in them as kids before things go wrong, rather than pay way more money after things go wrong later on, locking them up when it's too late and things could have been helped earlier on. All right, this one was a tricky one. If Foss had been the prosecuting attorney in the court case, how would things have been different? from 12 Angry Men. Tiaras Answer, I thought was the hit closest to um, an accurate response. Tiara said, in 12 Angry Men, if you are stated as guilty, you would be sent to the electric chair, but you would also have no say so in the decision, right? It's like automatic death penalty if you're charged with first degree murder. If Adam Foss had been the prosecuting attorney on the course case in 12 Angry Men, he would have given these accused people an opportunity to get their life straight and start making better choices. An example from the video is that Adam Foss states that he wouldn't waste time or money spending it on the cases. Another example from the video is that he believes everyone deserves a second chance and that they have an opportunity to have a second chance in life. My final example is that he would make these communities safer, knowing that there wouldn't be a criminal person who had done bad things running around in their town. All right, so she's like explaining all the different ways she thinks Foss might have handled differently. I was looking some other things that I was really looking for is first of all, if Adam Foss was the attorney um, in this case, he might have, if he was a prosecutor, he might have looked at the evidence a lot more closely. One of the things Foss mentions in the video is that prosecutors really only look at their court cases like as wins and losses, like their stats, and they want to get more wins. Clearly, the attorney in this case wanted to win without really even thinking about, gee, is this something I want to win? Do I want to send this kid away? So if Foss had been the prosecuting attorney, he wouldn't have seen it as his job to put people in jail. He would have seen it in his job as to make sure people are getting fair treatment and that communities are safe. So first off, if Foss was a prosecutor, he would have more closely looked at the evidence to see if the boy actually did it, because he wouldn't want to send him away for something he didn't do. Okay. Another thing that Foss might have done is this was a kid being charged with an adult crime. So maybe if the kid, if Foss, if he was a prosecutor, if he did believe the kid did it, I doubt he would have charged him with the most extreme crime possible. He probably would have charged him with the crime that would have the boy probably still would do jail time, but he would have also gotten help in counseling from all the trouble that he'd been in and he'd gone through as a kid. So Foss probably wouldn't have picked the biggest charge that would result in the death penalty. So there's a couple different ways that Foss might have handled it. All right. All right, let's get into today's lesson. Today's lesson's a brainstorming activity. So this is the big prompt that we're going to answer, but I wanted to spend some time really thinking about the prompt and making sure you're confident in what the prompt is asking before asking you to dive into a whole multi-paragraph ASAC response. All right. So here's the prompt that we're going to be thinking about for the next couple classes. Reginald Rose's play 12 Angry Men depicts the complexity of the judicial system, including such things as citizen juries, unanimity, reasonable doubt, witness testimony. Is 12 Angry Men a celebration of our judicial process or a warning of its failings? Support your answer with sufficient details from the text. So this is asking you, is 12 Angry Men, was it, and it can be a little bit of both, but if you had to pick a side, would you say the play was written to see like, wow, look at this, look at the way our courts work. Isn't it kind of cool or wonderful? Or was that play written as, hey, did you know our courts work like this? This is scary, right? That would be more of the warning. I want you to think about that from both sides for each of these little different the concepts that it names, that different ideas that help make up the jury system. I want you to think about each one and think about how it might have been celebrated in the play and how it might have been a warning in the play. I want you to come up with arguments for both sides for each of these. I'll walk you through the first one to show you what I mean. Okay, so citizen juries is part of what the prompt is part of the judicial system. And next to each term, I kind of read a more understandable definition of it. The idea of citizen jury is being tried by 12 different strangers, by 12 random strangers, right? Was that celebrated in this play? How was that? So how did that work well in this situation? And then how did it go bad, right? So think about celebration as what went well in this, and think about a warning as, what went wrong in this. So if I'm looking at the concept of citizen juries and how was it celebrated, I might say, well, yeah, the kid was tried by 12 random strangers and they did fight a lot, but they eventually all found him. They looked at the facts closely and they found him not guilty. So it was kind of messy, but overall, they came to the right decision, right? So you could say, yeah, this is a celebration of citizen juries because, the 12 angry men didn't know the boy or each other, but eventually they still came to the right decision, right? Maybe you've got you can even remember specific parts of the play that spoke about this. Um, if you remember the 11th juror, the one from Europe, he had like specific little speech about how what a great honor this was to serve in the jury. And actually, I think you could see that every single juror except for juror 7, juror 7 was not serious about this, right? Because he wanted to go to see a baseball game. Juror 10 was not serious about this because he just wanted to be racist, and then eventually he voted not guilty because he was sick of being in the room. So, but 10 out of the 12 jurors did take this very, very seriously. So this might be a celebration because, if 10 out of the 12 jurors took their jury duty really seriously, this shows that like this is kind of celebrating that like Americans like, do their best whenever they are in these situations. So 10 out of 12 jurors took their responsibility very seriously. That's kind of a celebration of it, you know? All right. Now, what went wrong? What went wrong with the idea of 12 random strangers being on a jury and deciding someone's fate? I think you're going to find it easier sometimes to name what went wrong because this was such a kind of a messy, contentious play. So what went wrong? What went wrong in with the idea of 12 random strangers deciding this boy's fate? One of them was jurors 7 and 10 did not care the boy going to the electric chair if guilty. They didn't care. They weren't going to lose sleep over it. You know? What else went wrong? Juror 10 showed that racism can make fair trials impossible for non-white defendants. What else went wrong? What did the third juror show? Juror 3 showed how some people can't see beyond their personal biases, right? So this is what you're going to do for each of these concepts. You only need one. Yeah, I like if you can think of more than one way that each concept is celebrated, or one way that each concept is kind of went wrong and is a warning. List as many as you can. I'm going to give you one free pass. Okay. So if you get to one box, if you get to reasonable doubt, it's the idea that a jury has to be all of the 100%, that you can't find someone guilty or innocent. Oh, that's reasonable doubt. Never mind. All right, reasonable doubt is that the jury may not find someone guilty unless they're 100% sure. If you have any doubt, you can't vote guilty, right? How was that celebrated in this play? And what was the warning about reasonable doubt? If I can think of like three different ways where this play showed that reasonable doubt worked, that it was a good thing, I can list all three. What if I can't think of a warning? If I'm like, man, I can't think of a way that reasonable doubt went wrong in this play, I'll give you one pass. You get one box where you get a free pass if you're totally stumped. Okay. So if you get to that box and you're really stumped, you can either type, I'm stumped. And that's fine. Obviously, you're not going to argue that in your play. If you want extra credit, instead of writing I'm stumped, write Mr. J is the coolest. And then maybe you'll get some extra credit for that. Okay. So you're going to go through and do the pros and the cons in this play, really, the celebration and the warning for each of these concepts. The next concepts are reasonable doubt, meaning if you're not positive the person's guilty, even if you mainly think they are, but if you've got any doubt, you don't vote guilty. Another concept is unanimity. This is the idea that all of the jurors have to say you're guilty or you're not guilty, right? If they can't come to 100%, you get a hung jury, which they talked about in the play, and then the whole trial has to start all over again with a different jury. But how was unanimity, that 100% or nothing? How did that go right in the play? But then also, how did it go wrong in the play? And the last one is witness testimony. The idea that people who aren't accused of the crime, who may know the defendant or saw the crime take place, being used to help prove that the person's guilt or innocence. So just witness testimony being used in court. How was that celebrated? But then also, how was it a warning in the play? So what went right with witness testimony in this play, and what went wrong? Okay. Once you've kind of weighed both sides for all these ideas, on your final reflection, what side are you going to take? Overall, are you going to argue that this play celebrates our jury system and our criminal justice system the way it works? Or are you going to argue that this play is a warning about it, that it's pointing out its flaws? All right. Make sure you go to office hours today, because this is going to be a really good time to share your thinking and also pick up on thinking from scholars. You're going to get some good ideas and some good debates in there. All right. Um, so I'm going to delete this, but if you want to use some of my ideas, you totally can. Okay. Just put them in your own words a little bit. And happy brainstorming, guys. Do your best. Can't wait to see your thinking and your work tomorrow. And as always, I will see you then.